work together to create more inclusive and equitable spaces for everyone, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, or background. On today's show, we are going to be discussing that very thing and why it's so important for your company to keep this at the forefront, especially in this day and age. And we're going to be doing that with my friend, DEI consultant Gabriel Mudd. And on the next level stage, I've got a special performance for you that you won't want to miss. All this and more coming up on the Business Breakout.
Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like a takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes. And you can rock and roll.
Yeah! So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Oh, I am so excited to be here with you today. We have got such a great show for you today. It's going to be so much fun. As always, this is the Business Breakout, your moment to take a break from work, learn some cool things, have some fun, and then get back to it all energized and ready to go. And, you know, we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And while that movement is not new, in fact, it's been around since the 1960s, the civil rights movement. And it is something that has come into the active forefront much more recently with widespread attention in recent years. And today we are talking to my longtime friend and fellow artist, Gabriel Mudd. He is a DEI specialist and he's the co-creator of the Q Worship Collective, which is a creative space for LGBTQ artists to connect with each other and the divine. And he is on a mission to make corporate and artistic spaces more inclusive and provides high quality music, voice work, and consulting services to support this work. With a passion for advocacy and a deep commitment to equality, Gabriel is a force for positive change in any industry that he services. Please welcome to the Business Breakout stage, Gabriel Mudd. Hey, Gabriel!
Hey, Ella. How are you doing?
I am so good. I don't think that I've ever called you by your full name so many times in one setting ever.
I don't think so either.
I've never
First
called
time
you
for
Gabriel.
everything, right?
I've never called you Gabriel.
Well, we've known each other for at least 35 years, which is weird because we're only 29.
Exactly. You know, I was thinking today, I was asking myself that very question. I said, how long have we actually known each other? And when did we first know each other? It had to be at Belmont.
It was at Belmont. My first year at Belmont,
That's right.
you came back and did like a master class-ish type thing about the business of entertainment.
Oh my
And
gosh.
we're fresh out of school and making sure that you had all the business stuff in line and were able to support yourself from performing.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. Thanks for listening.
Hey, you laid it out. It was so rare to see a Black person, one at Belmont, because at that point in time they were still building, the diversity there, and two, to see a Black woman who was not only starting out their career but being successful in performing and doing what they did best. And even though you were still learning, you were able to reach back and teach lessons about what you were learning that were so important to all of us that were there to say, yes, this person is still learning, but I'm able to do this too.
Oh, I truly appreciate that. And thank you so much for saying that. That means a lot to me to know that meant so much to you and to those that were there in that room that day. And I'm so grateful that we had that opportunity to meet each other so that we could be here today and talk about you.
Literally that. And at this point, this is some years ago.
So many years ago. There's so many stories that we could talk about. And that I would love to get into, but this is a bite-sized show, and I want to get in as much as we can in the time that we have together. And if you're watching with us live, then please go ahead, make sure that you let us know that you're here with us live. Give us a hashtag live. If you're watching in the replay, give us a hashtag replay. And if there is something that is sparking a fire, and then you give us a hashtag fire. And of course, the thing that made you feel warm and fuzzy inside. So I have got some questions for you, Gabe, because, and that's what I actually call him. I actually call him Gabe.
You've known me that long.
So I want to know, you have had so many dreams since you were a child, and they've been varied from ice skating to being a preacher. I remember the preacher phase, and being a record producer, and all of these things. How did you eventually settle on pursuing a career in arts? And specifically, how did you find yourself being such an advocate for DEI?
Absolutely. So funny about that is that I not only it wasn't a phase of like three different things, but it was I wanted to be all those three things at the same time. I wanted to be an ice skater, a pastor, and a record producer all at the same time, which when you're 8, that sounds great, but like when you grow up, you actually don't have the time to juggle everything that you're doing. So I had always been involved with the arts. I started singing in church when I was like 3 or 4. I'd always, for lack of a better word, wanted to be a star. Like I just always had that aspiration and goal to perform and make people smile and make people happy. And with what I did, like I started making up my own shows with my sister when we were 5 or 6 and inviting the neighborhood kids along to come see us. And that progressed of me being in children's choirs and boy choir. And when I was 16, I found an agency and started doing commercial work in television and theater and musical theater, which is why I went to Belmont for music and musical theater. I wanted to be in the Christian music industry, and that goal changed a little bit. And I just always had the fire and aspiration to do that and to tell stories that were universal, but also very specific to my own experiences. And to do that as a Black man, there just wasn't a lot of those stories that were seen at that point in time in the late 90s and early 2000s that were like very real and that showed something that was different, that wasn't just like the urban scale or like the hood, but people who were living their lives and doing things in normal day and time and the experiences that we lived and that we loved. And, that type of representation was always really important to me. I think I became such an advocate because I didn't see me on screens. I didn't hear my voice really outside of the gospel world or the Christian world. And I thought it was important not only to like advocate and advance my own career, but I saw the need for other young men. And then as I grew up, other queer people, to see people that looked like me in those spaces that were telling stories and kind of spawning that type of creativity that was so important that isn't seen. I think the important thing is that we're able to tell stories that are close to us and close to our heart, to share how beautiful and how diverse the world can be when we're all, as a collective, able to share our individual stories.
Yeah, it is. It is so important to be able to see the likeness of yourself in the
Mhm.
spaces that you live and work in. And it's interesting that over these past couple of years, when this particular um, this particular piece of our lives has been brought back to the surface so brightly. Um, Not that it hasn't been there, not that it hasn't been important. It's just in the most recent years, it's been more important to everyone instead of just the few who it affected. And the interesting thing in that is, quite honestly, it was something that I had not really considered very much of. And I know that I'm not the only person of color that didn't necessarily have that mindset. And it wasn't until the past couple of years that I started kind of recognizing those invisible infarctions
Yeah.
that I'd experienced over the years and just hadn't labeled them as such because in my world, everything is sunshine and light.
And sometimes it has to be for self-protection. Like if we don't have that sunshine and that light shining through all of us, the world can be a hard place and it can be a dark place if we look at, oh, this happened to me and this tempered my experience because of this way, and this happened to me and it tempered my experience because of this way.
Right.
And in order to continue to have that light shining through, we have to be able to tell our stories to say, this actually did happen to me, but this is how we can share our stories and be able to change not only the spaces around us, but change the world through enlightenment. Like the
Yes.
more that we're able to share with other people and they have a receptive heart to listen and learn and grow from that, the more that we're able to change it and not dampen our own light.
Yes, exactly. And my question to you in that, because yes, you've been in the entertainment space, you've been in the art space, but you've also been in the corporate space and you have been an advocate in the HR system for diversity, equity and inclusion, really making sure that there are people represented there of all of the places that need to be represented. How did you bring yourself into that, knowing that you had done it in the entertainment space? How did you marry that into the corporate world, and why was that so important for you?
Yeah, I actually don't think from the creative world to the corporate world is that big of a difference. And most entertainment spaces, especially things where they're, money making nonprofits like theater or with TV and film, it translates over into it. Everything is going to be a business. And like you still have to think about your bottom line. If you have more people watching a show, then of course your advertisement money is going to go up. You're going to have more people like looking at that and more popularity. So then you get more advertising space. And so in the business world, when you have open spaces where people feel comfortable, where people feel like they can be themselves, where people know that they have advocacy for them, your bottom line goes up. Like we see a correlation between diversity, equity, and inclusion in the greater space of advertising and day to day, and making sure that people feel like they can use your product, and also like toward happiness of either guests. I worked in the hospitality industry for a while, so I can use specifically guests. We see happiness in guests, we see happiness in consumers, and they're more apt to use your product if they believe that you have their best interest at heart and that you're fighting for something. Internally, however, a little bit of the same, but a little bit of difference is that when you have happy employees, they're going to work a lot harder and help your bottom line. So if you have, let's talk about the George Floyd incidents, for instance, where we had so many people speaking out for Black Lives Matter and making sure that their voices were heard in those protests. When you had companies that actually spoke out and said Black Lives Matter, you saw an increase in the performance of those companies, because not only were people more apt to say like, okay, they believe that Black Lives Matter, so then you're going to have more Black people come to that company. But a lot of the internal employees felt more protected and felt advocated for because the company had an overarching statement to say like, we believe this. And if you believe this, then this means that this can be a safe place for people
Right.
like me to work.
Right,
And
exactly.
having that correlation is incredibly important. And companies have seen their profits grow just because of the advocacy that they have, not only in the public space, but internally as well.
Yeah, and you also brought something else to light about not only do employees and guests feel more welcome and invited there, they're also able to have more fun in that space
Mhm.
when they feel like they're included in that space. And fun is something that I am so much about when it comes to putting on events. Just because we're adults doesn't mean that we don't want to have fun. And as you have stated, the studies do show that when you're having more fun, it's easier for you to be a part of what it is that you're asking someone to be a part of. It's easier to learn when you're having fun, especially if it's something that is traditionally boring. Oh, Lord Jesus. So,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I also believe that like when we embed DEI work into the company culture, when people feel more comfortable, then they're going to be able to share their full selves. Or at least if they're
Exactly.
not sharing their full selves, they're going to share aspects of themselves that they wouldn't normally share in a corporate space. And because of that, their engagement in the company and their work is going to go up. And then we see people build connection through employee resource groups.
Yeah.
That are started and connecting with employees that have this shared interests. And when they do that, then that's how like organically you have outings that happen or corporate events that have more cultural aspects to them, or you get to see certain aspects of someone who may not necessarily be able to showcase their artistic talent at work every day, but like they might
Yes.
have the support from an employee resource group. So then you
Yes.
have this shared vision and shared community of taking care of the whole person organically, which makes everyone want to be excited about going to work versus just having to clock in for a 9 to 5 that you just don't want to be a part of.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm thinking of when you said about those meetings and things, those events that they have that are our team events and meetings. I'm thinking of one that my team and I did not very long ago where it was so interesting to get the feedback afterwards when we produced that for them because they were able to see sides of each other that they didn't know. For instance, we had them running around getting rock god t-shirts and to find out the types of music that people like that the rest of the team they had no clue that each other liked the and or had these concert tees
Yeah,
just sitting ready in their closet just waiting for a moment
absolutely. And you
to
find that
break to
people
be
want to
brought
share
out.
parts of themselves
Exactly.
and be able to bring their whole selves in all aspects of their life, including their job. But
Yeah.
there has to be the space cultivated for that, and there has to be the excitement of bringing your whole self to a company where you can feel valued and where you can feel safe.
Yes. That also goes into the mental health of your employees as well. Because if they're not feeling safe, then it's hard for them to be in a mental state that allows them to fully participate in what's going on with your particular organization.
Right. A lot of my advocacy has actually been for frontline workers. I had in my last job, I had like the honor of not only working in daily operations, but also in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I was on the ground in a Chicago office for day-to-day operations during the pandemic, which was really taxing on people's mental health of not knowing, like, if I go into this space to do some light maintenance or work with this guest, am I going to contract COVID? Am I, is that going to change everything that I do for, the rest of my life because I had contracted a disease from helping this one person? So there was a lot of toll on mental health that was there. And one thing that I was blessed to be able to do was advocate for frontline workers to make sure that the work was seen, the work was felt. As a whole, collectively, frontline workers were the people that were daily engaging with COVID and with people that had COVID and not being recognized through a lot of companies. A lot of times we see frontline workers, which are like considered like the lowest jobs of maintenance, hospitality, housekeeping, food service, as something that's menial and unskilled, which we definitely need to rewrite the terms of what that is, of what unskilled labor is. Like if you're flipping burgers, that's still a skill to make sure that people are having food that's cooked correctly that won't give someone food poisoning. Like that's still a skill. We need to like kind of like renegotiate those terms and what
Yeah.
that means.
Yeah.
And the people that were in frontline service were the ones that were seen as negligible or seen as people that like didn't necessarily deserve to work from home, or they could just do that and got paid a whole lot less, or and had the most risk. So one of the things that I actually advocated for was to make sure that not only was there education and compensation, but that there were, like in my latest company, I advocated for every frontline worker in the company to get a bonus as being a frontline worker through the pandemic, because we didn't necessarily always get emergency pay. So like we advocated for that as a whole, and every single frontline worker in customer service and in ops got $1,000 bonus at the end of the year to make sure that they knew that they were appreciated for the sacrifice. And of course, like that doesn't ever seem like enough, but those gestures go such a long way.
Right. At least just making someone feel, excuse me, like they're seen and like
Yeah,
they're heard
yeah.
and like they matter at the end of the day. All of this is so incredibly important, and there's so much that we could dive deeper into today. And I would love to have you back at some point so that we can
Part two.
go right part two, so we can go deeper into this conversation. But now I want to take you all to the next level stage. First of all, Gabriel, thank you. And there it is again. I'm just saying it for like making up for lost time. Saying your full name. Gabe, thank you so much for being here today. We are not done with you, so don't go anywhere, okay?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever's next.
Thank you so much. We've been talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how that affects you and your company, and how it affects your clients and your employees, and how good they feel working with you. And on the next level stage, if you've seen any of the promo before, you know that there is a special surprise performance today. And I can't wait to let you see this performance. I'm a little bit excited about it. And that's all I'm going to say about it. So please keep your eyes and ears open and watch on the next level stage.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting by, you know how I feel. It's a new day, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. Rivers running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the trees, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn and a new day and a new life for me. I'm feeling good. Dragonflies out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, that's what I mean. Sleep in peace until the day is done, that's what I mean. And this whole world is a new world and a bold world, and I'm feeling good. Stars when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. This freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn and a new day and a new life for me. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Oh, thank you, Gabe. Well, I had not really planned on having myself be one of the performers for my
You
own
plan on that
show.
all the time.
But since I've got recordings, so clearly I did not go and change that quickly. But that was a recording of an actual live virtual performance. So all of that audio, all of that stuff actually did happen live at some point virtually. But I hope that it made you feel good, like it made me feel good to perform that at that moment. And you know, there are things that we have to do on this show, even if we only have just a couple of minutes left. It's something that happens every single show. You know, it's time for we're gonna bring retro back. Yeah. Yeah, we're bringing retro back. What? On today's game, okay, we are bringing back
this.
90s trivia. Are you very excited?
I'm pretty excited.
If you are joining us live, then go ahead and make sure that you put the answers that you feel are correct into that comment box there. And if you're watching us in the replay, then of course you can still play along with us. We have got 90s trivia. Okay, Gabe, I need to see where you are with your 90s trivia. Okay, so are you ready?
It's pretty good.
Let's see. For the win today, here is your first question. What Saturday Night Live star got their start on the show All That? All That. What Saturday Night Live star got their start on the show All That? Was it A, Nick Cannon, B, Amanda Bynes, C, Kenan Thompson, or D, Kel Mitchell? Who was
C, Kenan Thompson.
Kenan Thompson? Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
You are correct! Hooray! All right. I gotta give you at least one or two more. Let's see.
Please.
All right. What? Okay. I feel like this is too easy.
I can answer this without the multiple choices. Okay. Family Matters.
Okay. So since you know it without the multiple choices, and I think that many people would know this without the multiple choices. Yes, that is correct. Hooray. Then, since that one was so easy, what was it that Steve Urkel said? I need you to say it in character.
Oh my God. So I used to do Steve Urkel impressions when I was a kid. It was, can I do that? My mom has this video of me doing impersonations to be on Family Matters with Jaleel White. It's that serious.
It's that serious. It is that serious.
So serious.
I think we all wanted to be Steve Urkel when we were kids. I also had the glasses. Did you have the glasses?
Yeah.
Yes,
I did. I had fake glasses for that, for sure.
I had real glasses that were definitely, you remember the glasses, like, maybe I was the only one that had these. I had clear rims. Now they're actually cool. I should have kept them.
Yeah, baby, that was fashion.
Right? I was just ahead of my time. I didn't know. They were like literally this big. They were clear rims, and then I had blue fade to pink lenses. I mean, I'm just keeping up. My brand is just staying consistent since I was a child.
Literally, nobody could tell you nothing. You were in style.
so in style. Let's move on to your next question, if you are ready. What game came packaged with a Game Boy? Was it A, Donkey Kong, B, Tetris, C, Super Mario Brothers, or D, Pokemon?
B, Tetris.
Oh, you were so fast on this one. Let's see if you are correct. You are correct. It is Tetris. Now I need to know, what's the song? Not a note missed. Not a note. I feel like I need to find my tambourine.
Why are we making that church? That's hilarious. Why
did we just turn Tetris into a church moment? Look, Tetris didn't know. Didn't know.
It was a bop.
It was a bop. Oh my gosh. Gabe, thank you so much for being game to play this game with me today.
Always. Always.
And thank you all so much for being here. Whether you were here with us live or in the replay, we are here every first and third Wednesday of the month. We've only got a few episodes left of this season. So if you want to be a part of all the fun and you want to be here with us in the studio, because from time to time we have a live studio audience in our virtual pink room, you can definitely be a part of that. Make sure that you always stay on the lookout for our reminders, and there's a link for you to get the reminders in the comments below. We will see you next time. It has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Business Breakout.